Welcome to Four Mics, 13 Teeth, One Ankle Monitor, a ministry of First Baptist Church, Hogansville. We got a wonderful podcast for you today, so stay tuned.
Welcome to the Four Mics, 13 Teeth, One Ankle Monitor podcast, a podcast about addiction recovery made by addicts for anyone battling addiction.
Hey, what's up? How's everybody doing? How about you, Gary?
I'm doing wonderful. How about you?
Doing good. Hey, today we've got a great podcast. Today I'm going to be talking to Gary a little bit about his life story, and really excited about this. You got lots has went on.
Yeah, a lot has gone on.
So, hey, let's just jump right on in, Gary. What are some, where do we want to start at?
Oh, let's see. Let's start with, well, I used to come here to First Baptist Church, a CR program once before. This is my second go-round. And let's say that this has been the most wonderful blessing in my life. You know, coming here, renewing my relationship with Jesus and God. My first go-round was good. I got introduced to CR here through the court program and at Troup County, you know, drug court.
And what happened to get you into it?
Well, me, you know, just like all other things, me and my friend of mine got pulled over and got busted with a bunch of drugs. And I went to jail. And
typical Troup County stuff.
Yeah,
huh?
Typical Troup County. And I didn't want to go to prison, so I accepted drug court. And
what about that? Can you tell us a little bit about accepting drug court? How did you feel when that happened, or what transpired? Did they come in and offer it to you, or?
Well, no, I actually asked for it because everybody else seemed to be getting out of jail, and I was on probation. I was on probation at the time, and
that's right.
And they was talking about, you know, a prison sentence, and I didn't want no prison sentence. You know, I was willing to sign and say whatever it was I needed to say to try to get out of jail.
Right, that's exactly right, because it's kind of desperate times. Nobody wants to be in there, and you'll pretty much do anything or say anything to get out if at all possible.
That's correct. Any place is better than that place.
All right, so what happened next then with that?
Well, I got drug court, of course, and then I started coming here to CR, and my life turned around, you know. I had a job. I started coming to church. I became a leader here at CR.
Yeah, it sure did.
And I went through the program with flying colors. You know, I was a star. You know, stars when you do everything correctly in the program. Right. And then I graduated.
Oh, wait, let's go back to while you were here. When you were here, maybe I'm jumping ahead of the story, but when you were here, what were you expecting when you got out of drug court? What was your mindset? Hey, I'm fixing to be out. Mm-hmm. What am I going to do?
Well, to be honest with you, the first go around, you know, I really didn't have a mindset. I thought I had this. You know what I'm saying? I was like, you know what? This ain't that hard. This ain't that bad. Right. I had, you know, all my friends at the time that I had beforehand had drifted away because I was in drug court. You know, I went and doing drugs. I was having to take drug tests. But when I graduated, that accountability wasn't there no more. You know what I'm saying? So.
Was that a huge thing, you think, that now looking back on it?
Accountability?
Accountability.
Yes, accountability is very huge. When you have somebody standing over your shoulder all the time, pointing out things that, you know, or to me it feels like, you know, judging me, then yeah, that's a big thing. But when I graduated, that wasn't there no more. You know, I was my own man. I could do what I wanted to do.
So you looked at the accountability basically as you didn't like it, or what? Well, did you like the accountability or not?
Not then, no. I didn't.
Well, that's right. I mean, hey, it's hard for a man to say, hey, you're doing wrong, and for me to say, well, thank you for pointing that out.
Right, yeah.
So
ain't nothing wrong with me, it's everybody else.
Well, that's exactly right. So then after you get on out, and what happened once you completed here?
Well, once I completed drug court, my friends, you know, of course, you know, you happy, everybody's congratulating you, putting it on Facebook, congratulations for graduating.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
And all that, well, you know, the good people and the bad people, they see that, you know.
That's right.
So you have those ones that's back in your life, back when you was struggling, you know, with your addiction, or like for me, my addiction.
So So all your dope friends,
Yep.
all my dope friends are going to come back around
Yeah,
then
they
because
don't hit you up like, "What's up, man? I heard you graduated. You know, come give me a ride here, or I got this." You know, and at first it starts out, you know, you go to help somebody. That's where it started with me. I got called by a friend, and he had another girl that I was friends with, and he thought she was ODing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he'd never been through that, so he called me for help. You know, it was like, "Hey, man, I ain't got nobody else to turn to. I don't want her to die on me." You know what I'm saying?
You talking about when she was laying on the floor thinking she was going to OD, or
No, like she was passed out on the couch. He
Okay.
thought she was ODing.
Okay, all right.
So I went there. I went there. I got the girl. I brought her back to my house, and me and my wife kind of nursed her back to health. You know what I'm saying? And then
Right.
she went back on the world. But that was, I guess you could say, you know, in my heart at that time, I felt like I was doing a good thing. I was doing it out of goodness of heart, but it opened that door. I was not strong enough at that time to be doing something like that.
And what door did that open up for you, Gary?
To all them friends start coming back. Hey, you know, he's answered. You know, I answered that call. I can call him again. You know, so they start coming back around slowly but surely.
And usually, what's the first thing that if your friends are like mine, the first thing they're going to do is they're going to break open a sack and say, "Hey, thanks."
Oh yeah.
Did yours do that?
Yeah, that and more. They break it open, or hey man, can you stop by here right quick for me? And, you know, you give them a ride somewhere.
Oh,
and they run.
we're gonna make a pickup
yeah, or a drop off.
or a drop off. That's right.
Right. So you know, but it comes around and it just starts eating at you. You know, what it did me anyway. It started eating at me, and I was like, well, you know.
Well, what do you mean eating that? I'm not sure what you mean.
Like just the feeling of you start romancing about the good times, you know, or
All
what you
right.
think is good
The
times.
addiction comes back eating at you
Yes,
just a little bit at a time.
The addiction does, yeah.
Yeah.
That devil starts knocking on that door.
And he knocks hard sometimes, don't he?
Yeah, well, he don't knock too hard to begin with, but
That's right.
He gets
That's
harder
right.
and
It's
harder.
just a little bitty tap at
Yeah,
first.
you don't even notice him to begin with.
That's a very good point, because isn't that so true that a lot of times, and I know in my addiction, that's what happened. It seemed like every time was it just started off, nothing wrong with it.
Mm-hmm. Well, for me, the devil tried to disguise himself in good deeds. You know, like going
Right,
and helping
right.
that girl. I felt like I was doing a good deed, but in reality, it was the devil tricking me. You know.
Yeah, you thought you were justifying it.
Yeah, and I did. I started justifying it, but it comes to a time to when I just I couldn't take it. You know, I was like, well, I can handle it one time. I could do it one time, but then once I did it again, and did it that first time, then the shame come in. You know,
Because you have been clean for how long?
I've been clean for over 2 years at that point.
And basically, I mean, it's the same thing that a lot of us think about is that, hey, I've been clean 2 years, so now I can do a little hit, you know, because I was clean for 2 years. It's nothing. It don't have control of me no more.
Yeah.
But you found out something different, though, didn't you?
Oh, yeah, greatly. See, it was not necessarily the drug on its own that did me in. You know what I'm saying? It's the shame and the guilt. Like I said, I was a leader here.
Oh, that's right.
I was a leader here, and you know, once I did that and it set on me what I'd done, I just felt like, how can I be a leader and come back here? You know what I'm saying? And if I came back, of course, I wasn't going to be a leader no more. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't allow that pride. I wouldn't be a leader no more.
Yeah.
And how could I come here and face my new friends? You know, everybody that supported me. So I just quit. I just quit everything. I didn't come around. I didn't call.
So you went even deeper into the addiction then.
Yeah. So then once I cut myself off from that lifeline that I had, there wasn't no place for me to turn but back to the addiction.
But that lifeline that you're talking about before then, you really kind of hated anybody to even say anything to you. Right there, before you went into addiction, I know that I don't want people trying to unconvince me of what I've already got my mind made up to. Hey, this is what I'm going to do. I don't need you lording over me no more.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah,
right.
So then gradually, and the shame and the guilt. Hey, if you're dealing with shame and guilt, I'm just telling you, for me, it has eaten my life up.
Well, am I using? Yes, it did. Now the shame and guilt's not there. So I'm just grateful. I'm grateful to be where I'm at. I'm grateful. I came back to CR this time around, and I'm not in no court system, and I'm not mandated to be here this time. I'm on my own free will. But I came back, and, to y'all, I mean, kudos to y'all, and to God, y'all haven't said a word about it, about my fault, about me falling and relapsing. Y'all, when I showed back up, it was just, hey, we're glad to see you, glad you're back, we love you.
And that's exactly true. I do want to go back just a little bit, though, Gary. We were talking about you going back into addiction, but I know your story, but others don't. Tell the listeners what happened to you. Like, I know twice, maybe more, but I know of twice. What happened to you?
Well, when I left from here and I graduated, I started back using, which we've been talked about, and my drug of choice has always been methamphetamine.
That's right.
But nowadays it's all about the money. You can't trust nobody.
Right.
So I wound up getting hold of some bad drugs from folks I thought were friends of mine, people that, come over and hung out with me. And so I wound up getting hold to some that was laced with fentanyl twice. The first time it wasn't so bad. I'd OD'd, and the paramedics showed up at my house. Mm-hmm. And when I come to, I was still laying in my living room. They were shining a flashlight in my face. Okay, so about a week later, that goes by, and I'm, the addiction's got a hold of me.
Right.
So a week goes by, and then I get a hold of some more that wasn't nothing but straight fentanyl, and I had asked the guy about it, because at that point I was nervous about it. And he was like, no, he promised me. And, me being in my addiction, I wanted to believe that.
Right.
So I went home and I did what I did, and it was 3 days later I woke up in the hospital with IVs running out of me.
I remember that. And, I got a call saying that you were in the hospital.
And they told my wife, the doctors told my wife to be prepared, that they thought there was a good chance I might wake up brain dead.
I remember that also. Sure do.
So it's only by the grace of God, that I made it through that, and I'm here, and I'm alive, and without brain damage that I know of.
Well, let's go back just a little bit. When you were, I remember coming over there to see you.
Yep.
And you had just gotten out for the second time.
Mm-hmm.
And I tried to talk to you and tried to get you to, come back to CR, come to church. Just try to help pull you out of your addiction. Just any kind of way I could try to.
You did.
But what did you tell me? You remember?
I don't remember much of nothing.
You told me that, I know I might die, but I don't really need that right now. I remember that. And the only reason why I wanted to bring this up is because in our addiction, we can get so lost in our addiction, so deep down in our addiction, that we don't see any way out of it.
You're right. And Mr. Bill is, no, but that day you come over there, I don't know if you remember or not, but I was so high I couldn't even really see you.
Oh, I knew it. I've been in addiction for 38 years, so it's easy to spot somebody that is in the middle of it. But like you said, there was something different. But even though you couldn't get friends to get you out of this addiction, what happened to you that got you started out of this addiction?
Well, of course,
because this is good.
The two ODs started. The first one got me scared.
Mm-hmm.
The second one pretty much terrified me and my family. But the first one terrified my wife. But the second one, sure enough, terrified my whole family, because the first one, only my wife knew about it, and of course my dope buddies that I was with.
Right.
But the second one, the whole family found out. Everybody knew. The whole town knew.
That's right.
But
good news travels fast, doesn't it?
And bad news travels faster.
That's exactly right.
So at that point in time, we was going over to help my wife's mother, right? And we was doing something, we was honestly helping her.
Right.
And I ain't gonna go into it, but my wife and her mother has had a real rocky relationship with each other. So we went over there, and my wife and her got into an argument. See, I got in a flat tire. This is just God working. I had gotten a flat tire in her yard, and my truck couldn't go nowhere. So she let us borrow her car to
That's
go
right.
fix the tire on my truck. Well, while we was gone, her and my wife gets into an argument. And she gets mad. She calls the police, right? So the police, we talked to the police. He's like, you need to bring the car back. So we brought the car back. Well, the police wasn't there. Well, a week goes by after we bring the car back, and my truck runs out of gas. Because from where I loaned it out to a friend, or so-called friend.
That's right, my buddies.
And he run out of gas on the side of the road, and they towed my truck. So I went to the tow yard, the impound lot, to get my truck. I was leaving the impound yard and trying to make it to the gas station because I had to put a little bit of gas in it, but it's a big truck.
Right.
So I was going up the hill by a bridge over in LaGrange, and my truck runs out of gas. Here comes the police because I'm halfway stuck in the road.
Because they do what they do.
That's right. And so we sitting there, and then when my wife finally gets back, I send her off. She's in a friend's car that we borrowed. She comes back, and as soon as she gets back, he tells me to get out of the truck. Says he's got a warrant for my arrest for theft of an automobile.
Right.
My mother-in-law's car. So I wound up going to jail for 13 months. I was already on probation. I was on unsupervised probation, but nonetheless, I was still on probation, and I sat in jail for 13 months. And in that time, I had 13 months to really think about what had happened, where I went wrong, the people that really I had in my corner, how life was before and after, the fact that I almost died, and then getting to see new, fresh people coming in that was crazed up,
Right.
So at that point in my life, I decided, I figured I was going to prison. So, but God seemed fit to let me out of jail.
So it was like a wake-up call, a huge wake-up call for you.
Well, yes, it was a wake-up call, of course, but it was time enough for me to sit down and straighten my head out, get back.
Being up under all that drugs, your mind gets all twisted. I know mine did during times like that.
But mainly it put me at a point of being desperate. I was desperate for a change.
That's a good place to be in, isn't it?
Yeah, it is a good place to be. Desperate and broken.
That's right.
If you want to change in your life and you want to find God, Jesus came to the broken. So,
that's exactly right. We saw that Friday night, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. We went to Atlanta, up yonder to the Baptist Church in Atlanta. I forget the name of it.
Atlanta Baptist Rescue Mission on Peters Street.
And it was a wonderful place. They feed, the homeless people around there. They come in, they minister to them, and they feed them, they clothe them, they let them take showers, and they all got a lot of programs to try to get them jobs and back on their feet and off the street.
Did you know that they also give them schooling?
No, I did not know that.
You can get your GED there, and you can go further in your education there. Another thing that they do that really impressed me was some of these young men. You remember the ones that were in the ties? They might have a polo shirt on, but they had a tie.
I remember the one guy who was really energetic.
Very energetic.
Yeah, very energetic. He had let's just say, a wonderful energy about him.
He did, and one of the things that they do that I think is so important is he got out and they get out and witness to people. I just think that is so huge. But for me, being there, seeing them. Now these are homeless people, and they're in there just singing to the top of their voice, praising God. And of course, you've got some that maybe not, but for the majority, they are. And then you had others that had Bibles and they were writing down things. It was something. It was even, to me, it was more exciting than being in a church. A lot of times in church, you see half-dead folks. These people were alive.
Well, believe it or not, they're homeless, and you could tell it, but in their service, they made me almost feel inadequate. Like I ain't doing enough.
Exactly. I felt the same way.
I was like, man, we're supposed to be a church group up here coming in to minister and love on them, and they're making us look bad.
That is exactly true because of their gratefulness. For they just see God is there with them. We had somebody in our group that said that God's always with the broken, and that's why he was there, because there were a lot of broken men there, and it was huge. We sang, 2 songs?
That's right, 2.
Yeah, and
they sang one.
And they say one. That's exactly right. And that night there was 6 or 8 of them that received salvation that night.
Yeah, that came and asked God to save them.
That's right.
They come up here and we prayed with them, and the preacher talked to them, and it was just something else. It was just really spiritually lifting. And it does. It makes you grateful. For me, I know that's what God wants. The more grateful I am, the happier my life is. The more God gives me. And speaking of, since I got out of jail and I got this new felony, I've never really had a problem trying to find a job before, even with a felony.
Right.
But the felony of auto theft and it being brand new, it really has.
They look at you a little different, don't they?
Yeah, it's put a hamper on me trying to get a job.
Right.
A job that actually, because I have a family. I have a wife and 3 kids.
Right. Got to pay bills.
And a grandmother that's living in the house with us, who's gotten old. So finding a job that actually I make money instead of costing me money to go to work has been difficult. But because of God and His mercy, I've gotten that job to where, I think that I could see a career, I could see a future.
So you just started this last week, right?
That's right. I started it last Tuesday.
And isn't that just wonderful that now you see, and for me, that it's a hard thing sometimes is seeing some of the guys that come through our Celebrate Recovery and all that, they struggle because of that, because of their background. It holds them back from getting a job. I know that, Gary, you yourself applied at this other company, and because of your background just a couple of weeks ago, you went all the way through the process to the very end.
Yeah, I went all the way through the process. I told them in the beginning, and it's a well-known company, and it's a good company. I told them in the beginning that I had this felony, And it was like, well, okay, I did an interview. I did a second interview, and then I had to go take 3 mechanical tests, 2 written tests, a verbal, and then where I actually had to work on a piece of machinery that was tore up, diagnose it, and figure it out and fix it and walk them through it, how I come about the process. Well, they offered me a job and offered me, gave me a job offer and how much I was gonna make and everything else, which in my mind, it kind of blew me away. But then
too good to be true, huh? That's what you was thinking.
It was too good, and I told my wife and my family, they was all happy and excited, and I was like, look, from the get-go, I didn't think, when I went up there and I first applied to the job, I didn't think I was going to even get a call back.
Right.
But then I went through the whole process, and of course, you get your hopes up. I mean, you can't help but get your hopes up. But well,
it's life-changing to get a well-paying job.
Oh, yeah, that would have been the job I got now is life-changing. And it's not about, and it's okay money. It's not the best in the world, but the opportunities that come along with this job.
So you can move up in this job.
Yeah, I can move up in this job. I can go to school and get certified for free working at this job. So, I mean,
pretty huge.
Yeah, that's real huge. So the payment may not be as good, but the opportunity is more. You know what I'm saying? So I think God put me where He wanted me to be, a place I needed to be. And I'll be honest, this job I got now, I've never once in my life was happy to go to work, get up and go to work, and not want to leave.
I've never had a job like that here.
You ain't never had a job like
No, I'm at the end of my 33 years at this one company. I can't wait till I retire.
Well, I'm honest. But where I'm at, the week I worked, I mean, I was working 10-hour days, and I was sitting in there. We was at work the other day, and I was still learning. And they was like, "You gonna go home, Gary, or we just gonna shut the door and lock you? You gonna stay here?" I mean,
you were grateful.
I'm more than grateful. I can't express how much thanks to the people, to the man who gave me the job.
That's right. That's right.
To the ones who talked to him for me, because I'm not a very outspoken person per se.
Just let things be the way they're going to be.
Yeah, I kind of let things roll the way they're going to be.
That's right. That's right.
And, I've never had a problem leaving things up to God, So.
I know where that could go.
So, but yeah, I'm more than grateful. I can't believe that I've got a job working where I'm working. And it was something, and the job I got is something I wanted to do anyway. I've talked to my wife about going back to school and getting certified to do what I'm doing. I thought I would have to get a certification to do what I'm doing, but now I found the job that I wanted. Not only did I wanted, but one that I could work full time and it not cost me nothing to get the certification, to where I was going to pay beforehand and not make no money while I was getting it.
That's right. Hey, tell us something about. Tell us about today. What's going on? You and I were just talking a while ago and saying that you, as the man of the house, we are the leaders of the house, and the way we go is the way the house is going to go, whether you like it or not. That's the truth. All right. And you and I were talking in your addiction when you got out of the court system and then you went back into addiction. Your family went that way with you. Your family went down.
Yeah, my family fell apart. Well, when I first started back in my addiction, when I left from CR and graduated drug court, and I got back to using drugs. One thing my family's always taught me, what my granddaddy I was raised by, is always to be honest. You know, if you can't do nothing else, a man's gonna be honest. So,
right.
And the most important of that is to be honest with yourself. So, in being honest, when I started back using, the first thing that I did was I sent my daughter, my youngest daughter, to live with my mother.
Right.
You know, because I knew, I could see where it was going.
Right.
So to keep, me from losing her or for defects to get involved, because she's been through enough in her life, I sent her to live with my mother because I knew that she could take care of my daughter better than I could. And but at the same time, I had two older ones living. Well, one of them was basically grown, but I had two more living in the house with me. And defects got involved. We didn't lose them, but defects got involved. My house went downhill. Them friends that you think of your friends that are coming around, they have just about destroyed everything I got. What they did steal, they've tore up.
That's right.
I went to jail, and I let a couple of them stay in my house while I was in jail, thinking that they could look after the place. And they looked after it.
Oh, I'm sure they did. They looked at it right going out the door.
Yeah.
All right, but now your direction in life has changed.
Well, yeah, my focus has changed.
So we were talking earlier. What is something that happened today, and what is something that's going to happen next Sunday here at church?
Well, my son closed us out in prayer today's service, which is huge.
That's huge. I saw the look on his face.
I haven't been given that honor.
Right.
I didn't. That's huge. That's huge to stand in front of to do the closing prayer for the whole congregation.
It is. It is.
That's something. I'm very proud of that. I'm very proud that our preacher let him do that, or they called on him to do that. My daughter next Sunday, Easter, is getting baptized.
And what about that on Easter? Your daughter getting baptized.
You can't never forget your baptism day, can you?
No, you won't forget that. Gary, moving forward, have you got any words of advice as we close?
Yeah, I've got a lot of advice.
Well, just a little bit.
Well, the advice I got is get toxic people out of your life.
Amen to that.
Please it don't matter if they're family, friends, your husband, your wife. You got to get them out of your life because God didn't put them there. If they're toxic, the devil put them there and put them there to trip you up. And the second thing after that is redirect your focus. It says to put Jesus first, put God first every day. And, that can be hard to do.
It is. It is sometimes.
But for me, I started out with small things. Like I get up every morning, soon before I ever get out of bed, I got an app on my phone that comes up with scripture and prayer and inspirational speak that I read. As soon as I open my eyes and I pick up my phone, it's automatically on my phone. I got it set up where it's automatically on my phone every morning. So I read that. And then,
so instead of going into maybe on Facebook scrolling, seeing something bad that.
I don't go. I got rid of Facebook. Facebook's the devil.
I would have to kind of agree to that a little bit because you can get drawn into people's lives, and most of it's imaginary. Let's just face that. Yeah. All that good times going on at your family's house, we know that ain't true.
Yeah. For me, Facebook was the devil. That's the doorway the devil used to get all that which destroyed my life back into my life.
No, I can say that. I've heard several people, well, not even several, a lot of people say that. And, you know, for some people it might be good, but it's important that I recognize what toxic things in my life, what's toxic in my life might not be toxic in yours, but I need to be aware that it is toxic to me. So, no, I'm proud of you for that.
Well, you know,
that's a big thing.
A lot of people say they're my friend and know me, and that's a gateway for them to get back in touch with me. But folks that, you know, I don't want or need to get in touch with.
That's right.
You know,
that's right.
So the other advice I have, you know, is get rid of toxic people out of your life. You know, don't open that doorway back for them. That's like getting rid of Facebook. You know, if it's allowing people to contact you, you don't need to contact you. Get rid of it. Another thing, change your focus and your attitude. You know, like I said before, I'm just grateful. I'm grateful that I have my family.
That's right.
I'm grateful that I still have a house and it wasn't burnt down while I was locked up.
That's right. It's the small
I'm
things.
Grateful, more than grateful for the job I have.
Right.
I'm grateful that CR allowed, you know, the people at the church at CR allowed me to come back, much less with open arms.
Right. And they did, with open arms.
And, you know, I changed my attitude. You know, I get to do things, not got
Instead
to.
of, that's huge, isn't it?
Yeah. I get to get up and go to work. I get to spend time with my kids. Not that, I got to go to work, or I got to spend time, or I got to go to church. No, I want to. I get to.
I remember when I first heard somebody say that, it was like a life-changing thing for me.
It is.
I get to go to work.
Yeah, changing that one word, it changed your whole world.
I agree with that. That's something big right there. Hey, we're moving forward. You'll be hearing Gary and I talking about a lot of different topics as the weeks go on. And Gary, I just want to thank you for today, for stepping out. And what did you tell your wife 2 weeks ago?
I said I wasn't doing this, and I'm going to tell you. Hopefully, I get better at this because I'm nervous right now. It's one of my biggest fears. I don't talk to people. You know, I'm very introverted.
That's right.
And like right now, I don't know if you can tell or not, but I'm sweating. I'm sweating to death. And I'm so nervous and been jittering around over here that my earphones ain't working. They didn't come unplugged.
But you know, and I know, and this is what we encourage here is if you step outside your comfort zone, big things are going to happen.
Well, that's another thing you need to do to change your life is get involved.
That's huge.
You know, my way for me, and that may be one of the major things other than putting God first is my decisions, you know, no matter how smart I think I am, my decisions have always got me messed back up. So now about the only thing I decide is what I get to eat. That's it. I let other people decide what I do, when I do it. And I don't mean like a drill sergeant sending over you. Well, like I told Mr. Bill, and part of me putting God first is any and everything that they got going on at the church, you could just go on and write my name down on that voluntary list. And, you know, and I told them up there where I'm working at now, I got a real good boss who I was talking to, and I asked him, you know, I was like, look, I volunteer with the church. I'm trying not to be a pew sitter. Right. So I volunteer with the church, and I need to know, is that going to conflict with the job? Do I need to change things around? He said, no. He said, you put the church first.
And I think that anybody just starting off in recovery, that's a huge deal, is putting God first in your life. And as you put God first in your life, what you do is you start being obedient and doing some, as the doors open, you walk through the doors instead of leaving the doors closed or closing them yourself. And that's what I've been, has happened to me a lot of times. So,
yeah, like this podcast. Mr. Bill said, "Oh, you doing the podcast?" I'm gonna be honest. He kind of tricked me there a little bit.
That's right. That's why we do it here.
Yeah. He's like, "Oh, can you be here at 2:00?" I was like, "Yeah, sure." He said, "Good, because you're doing the podcast."
That's right.
Okay.
Well, hey, we encourage you to, if you're struggling with addiction, please reach out to us. There's numbers at the top of our it's called Celebrate CR Hogansville. Reach out there, and hey, look, we're just people that, by the grace of God, our lives have changed, and we are so thankful. And as we reach out with other opportunities to do, we'll be bringing some more stories to you. So, hey, we thank you for watching us. We thank you for being part of this podcast with us.
I just want to say one more thing.
All right, go ahead.
For me, this is not a church. This is not a recovery group. This is a family. It really is.
And it becomes that way, I think, the more that you get involved with it. And, hey, put yourself around some godly people. Let's
Amen.
Close with that. So, hey, thank y'all so much for listening to us today, and we'll be back on next week. Thank you.
Bye-bye.